Fans, welcome to Sports Chat. Here for another week. Football is well underway. Things have not started out great for some teams, but for a couple, things are actually going pretty well for them.
Well, Follett 1-0. Jellicoe, off to a 1-0 start with their 35-6 win over Hancock County. Things not looking as good for the Eagles. They started 0-2 after a loss Tuesday night, and they have another game. As we were shooting this on a Thursday, they have another game tonight for 3 games in 8 days. A marathon they're running, and
that is a grueling schedule for any football player.
Midway had too much speed for them on Tuesday night.
Midway, now, listen, they weren't big, but they ran their plays pretty much, for the most part, to perfection. And they were quick. Like John said, it was
just too much speed for Jacksboro. Jacksboro's got the size this year, but maybe not got enough speed on the outside. Offense struggle in protection. Basically, of the quarterback, even in handoff situations, there's just an end for Midway speed rushing, and he was in the backfield about the same time the quarterback was turning around to hand the ball off on a lot of plays, and that's just tough to overcome. And Jacksboro wasn't able to. They lost 22-8, and it's just a tough night. And Jacksboro, traditionally has the speedy guys. They have the guys that can get out, run people down, get to the edge, be gone with it. And it's just not there right now this year. We'll see if that speed develops. Got some younger players this year. But Jacksboro's struggling right now. It's going to be...
Well, Follett, on the other hand, they've got some good-sized kids. We've only seen them for a quarter in the Jamboree so far. But they've executed well. And they're actually getting ready to take on Coalfield tonight.
We'll see. So they had their off week already in the second week of the season. Coalfield, I would think that Follett should be able to win. It's a smaller school, but Midway was a smaller school than Jacksboro too. Midway only had about 20 players.
Now, I'm not taking away from Follett. I actually think they can beat them, but Coalfield traditionally fields really good football teams.
Coalfield does. They're a good feeder school to Coalfield High School, who is usually pretty good at their level of football.
And remember, they're one school. They're a K through 12.
So we'll see how it goes with Follett, but Jellicoe's surprising, 35-6 win. Jellicoe wins are not that common for Jellicoe. So.
And this week they're going north of the border to take on Pickett County. I'm sorry, they're playing Pickett County, Tennessee, in Byrdstown.
Yeah, that's due west a couple of counties over from Jellicoe and Campbell County.
Pickett County beat Clinton County, which I believe is a Kentucky school, 32-0 last week.
But see, Jellicoe scored 30 points. And, it was a good week for Jellicoe. Anytime Jellicoe can get a win, and especially they get a one-sided win, that's extremely rare for them the last few years. Maybe a sign that things are getting better up there. And so I hope for that.
Dustin Buckner is Jellicoe alumni, former Jellicoe quarterback, I believe, played college football at Cumberland College, and coached college football at Cumberland College. Kid's got a resume. I say kid, he's younger than we are. He clearly has got the team motivated.
Jellicoe it's a place where you can traditionally win. It's had a lot of success, made playoffs, I think, in 4 different divisions.
Actually, if you look at some of the history, they've been a very successful. Jellicoe's been a high school a lot longer than Campbell County has. It was a high school when Jacksboro and Follett were high schools.
It's been around for years and years, decades. 70, 80 years probably.
Many playoff teams have come from Jellicoe.
So they're a good school, and it just takes the right coach. It looks like Buckner, maybe he is the right guy, and like I say, getting wins at all have not been easy the last few years, and we'll see, that 1-0 start. Maybe it becomes a 2-0 start, maybe not, but things are looking up a little bit in Jellicoe. Now, here in Jacksboro, Follett and Campbell County, things got a little off track on Friday night. Not the debut to the season that I know Coach Price or either Coach Price is looking for. The defense did play exceptionally well. Gave up one play, and that one play basically was a 23-yard touchdown pass. And that proved the difference in the game. It's had a little special teams error for a block punt touchdown earlier in the game, and defense though was pitching a shutout. And you got a team at 4th and 23. You think that you're
An
in
auction
good shape.
team even at 4th and
Yeah,
23.
an auction team doesn't throw the back, complete the pass all night. I don't think. If they had, they completed one pass all night. It was just somebody you're not going to see strut throwing the ball. You know, the guy, quarterback rolls out, heaves it down the field like a shot putter.
Yeah, it was not a pretty pass, but it got the job done.
They managed to go up, get up on Campbell County's defensive backs back a little bit, go over the top of them, catch the ball, and come down with it in the end zone. And between that and say the struggles on offense, had Zach Rutherford, of course, go down. He's torn an MCL. As of this video, of this recording, we talked to Coach Price yesterday.
He actually had surgery the morning we shot this.
Coach Price had not heard the results of his surgery yet. The ACL was swelled up, not torn from what they could gather. And MCLs are generally a much less severe injury. Timeline for return, Coach Price we asked about. He basically said it could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it could be 2 months, 3 months. That he wouldn't know for sure until after the surgery results were coming out. But a lot of players will put a knee brace on and play with an MCL. It's not nearly the issue than an ACL. ACL, your structural integrity of your knee.
You
is
can't
gone.
cut. You cannot cut
Your knee
with a torn
can't go
ACL.
sideways, and so you're pretty much done. I mean, Tennessee did have an offensive line who played with a knee brace and a torn ACL last year, but that was above and beyond what you'll often ever see.
Also, an offensive lineman does not have to cut nearly as much as a quarterback.
But as an MCL injury, it will be a mental thing with Rutherford, and your knee's not going to feel the same, but it's not going to be nearly, like I say, nearly severe. And it's not an injury that it doesn't in itself require surgery to fix. I think the surgery is exploratory. Take a look at the ACL and some other parts that were behind the swollen ACL.
Right, because the meniscus is they can be bad, and it's a lot harder to tell on an MRI.
So but anyway, the prognosis is better than it could be. We'll see for sure whether he could be out for the year. But it not being a torn ACL was big. Josh Lake came in. He filled in pretty well at quarterback. I mean, Josh has played a lot of quarterback as a freshman, quarterback.
And it's just such a good athlete.
And the JV quarterback, Campbell County went. The JV team went 8-0, I believe, or 9-0 a couple of years ago, with him leading them at quarterback. So Josh knows what he's doing out there. It's just the detriment to that is that you don't have Josh at wide receiver anymore, where he's a great wide receiver. He had some big catches against Gibbs.
And even though Coach Price said we might see him out there, you're not likely to see him on defense.
It's only going to see him at linebacker under extreme situations, but he's also an excellent linebacker. I mean, that takes 3 spots, and weakens the depth at all 3 spots. Because the depth of quarterbacks weakened from just from Rutherford being hurt, but it weakens linebacker and wide receiver depth too, because Lay moves over to quarterback full time. Talked to Lay yesterday. He said that he is getting a lot more practice time to practice throwing the ball than instead of practicing some at quarterback, some at wide receiver, some at linebacker. He's going to be getting it done there. And Justin said that the simple nature is that Campbell County's offense to work properly, you have to throw the ball, and they will throw it some and throw it more than they did the other night. I'm not going to throw it as much as they was for Rutherford quarterback. We talked about adjusted game plans, how they used to throw the ball 40 times and get a lot more possessions because the clock stops when you throw it and it's incomplete. And the nature of throwing the ball, it produces more first downs, which the clock stops to move the chains. It produces, a bigger chunk of yards, which generally lead to that. But with a lot more runs, the game possessions are a lot more scarce. I mean, Campbell County got, I think, 2 possessions in the second half.
3. They had 3 in the second half.
3 in the second half. Then 2 of those ended inside the 5-yard line. They had 3 total possessions in the game that ended inside the 5-yard line. So Coach Price talked about the need to make sure that they're going to finish those possessions inside the 5. And that's not been a big issue for the last 3 years. You had Nick Bailey finishing inside the 5, then you had Trey Torres finishing inside the 5.
And I think as soon as it goes on, you'll see Austin Raines finishing inside the 5.
Austin Raines, he's built like a tank. The offensive line's got to do a little better, open a little hole. That offensive line's huge. It's experienced, and it's time for for those guys to establish themselves as just dominating run blockers. And it's a different scheme than they've been used to practicing. I mean, a few years ago, Tyler Bray threw for just a ton of yards. He wasn't getting sacked. Tennessee had one of the best offensive lines for pass protection in the country, but Tennessee could not run the ball. Those guys could not run block. So Campbell County's going to have to step up the run blocking and just give a little crack to Austin. If he can get his shoulder down and get in the right spot, and get a guy maybe glancing in from the side rather than a guy full on ready to meet him head on, he's going to win that battle most of the time.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of mass moving hard in one direction.
But that's the battle Campbell County has to win inside the 5. Josh Slay was able to lead them down and get them inside the 10-yard line. And when Campbell County gets inside the 10, like I said, they went to their beast, their big package. And that is where Austin and the offensive line have got to work and get it done. I mean, that game against Gibbs, there was a bad call in the game. I mean, you hate to lose on a bad call, but there's so many other things Campbell County could have did. They lost on a lot of calls, but the official blew the play dead prematurely with just a light whistle. I think he probably inadvertently blew the whistle.
But then he killed the play because
as soon as that whistle blows,
the whistle had blown. There's no choice.
But Campbell County scooped the fumble up. I mean, it's a fumble clear and scooped it up and ran it in for a touchdown, but that came off the board because of the inadvertent whistle. And the guy was still up. He hadn't been stopped. His momentum wasn't stopped. He was driving his legs, and the ball got stripped. But the official quick on that whistle. I took 7 points off it.
There was also a questionable fumble recovery call by the officials, but
about 6 minutes to go, Gibbs kicked it. Gibbs sort of squib kicked everything. They kicked off 3 times, squibbed all of them. And this one runs down. It hits. If you've got to get on the ball on kickoff because the ball's live once it passes 10 yards. It's anybody. Campbell County let it go past a couple of guys. They should have got on it earlier, but regardless, Campbell County came out of the pile with the ball. And the official ruled it Gibbs' ball, which I've never saw a team come out of the pile with a ball like that in that kind of a pile up.
And not get the ball.
Not get the ball because you clearly have possession. If you've got the ball in your hands, you have possession of it. But the referee said he spotted the Gibbs player towards the bottom of the pile that he thought was on the ball, and that's why he made the call the way he did. That cost Campbell County about 3 minutes because the defense shut Gibbs down. And it cost a couple of timeouts and about 3 minutes off the clock and put Campbell County's potential game-winning drive in a lot more stressful situation. And Gibbs Bend was a little bush league and probably violated some rules there. They were playing really loud while the play clock was running. And frankly, that's against all. I know all other levels of football that's against the rules. I've never saw it done at the high school.
And not just the band. You can't play music either.
You can't play music over. You can't pipe in any kind of artificial noise. It's one thing for the fans to yell and scream, but the official body of the school is not allowed to make artificial noise or create artificial noise when the play clock is running on offense for the other team. It's just not allowed. And I've never saw it happen. I've been to a lot of high school games before. I've never saw it happen like that. Gibbs Band was specifically playing an extremely loud, just a beat to disrupt Campbell County's offense while the play clock was running. So Gibbs, that was very bush league at best and probably against the rules of the game, but Gibbs doesn't get very many wins, so I guess they're doing what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't going to blame the loss on the band, but it was a pretty crappy thing to do. On better band notes, the Campbell County Cougar marching band will be the band of the week on this WBIR this week.
I also noticed that the participation in the Campbell County Cougar band seems to be up a little bit this year.
And that's good. That band is actually just a really, really big part of the atmosphere.
It was big when we were in school, but it got stagnated under the leadership. I mean, it just did. The same person's doing the same thing for 35 or 40 years. It's going to get stagnant.
And that's not to say that Don Hendricks is not a great band director and teacher. But it's like I say, if we had the same football coaches for 30 years, basketball coaches, and you get that perception, Adam's a young guy. He's energetic. He, does his thing, and therefore, like the Prices, like Dustin Buckner up in Jellicoe, you get some new life breathing.
It had appeared to be bigger participation this year. I was talking to Coach Price at the game, and he was pretty happy with it. He enjoys the band, enjoys the show that they will put on, and like I said, he was happy to see the increased numbers, and it's good stuff, dude. It just gives many kids out there as you can, and have a great band again like we used to have back 20 years ago.
And that was during the Hendricks era. So like I said, we're not down in Hendricks. It's just young blood in leadership can really change things.
You got to have the people, the guy. I mean, you just got to get, you know, the young people. They'll go out and connect better and get participation up a little better a lot of times. And so it worked out well.
Another thing I like about the band, and this is something that's always gone on, is you get so many band alumni that come back and help out.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier for an alumni to help out the band than it is, say, the football team.
Well, the band's not that as regulated by TSSAA
Right.
and things like that. You can only have so many coaches, and coaches are generally particular about who they want running the program, how they want the program ran. And it's a different way. It's not really that comparable to try to get participation like that on other levels. But I say it's a good thing, and hopefully, you know, Campbell County can go to Central tomorrow night and frankly finish plays, finish a little better when they get inside the 10. So they were fine between the 20s. It's not the same as it was last year because they lost a ton of talent. I pointed out in Cougar Preview. You just lost all state talent all over that offense.
Lost 3 all-state players. Although technically Elkins' all-state year was as a defensive back. He was an all-state player.
I think they just put Elkins a defensive back. I'm not really sure why because he had a dominant wide receiver season that year. And you know, he said pretty much every Campbell County record of the year he was a defensive back. But so those guys in the wide receiver department, they're going to have to step up their game because they're great athletes.
Max Ferris was a great athlete. I remember specifically from middle school.
And Seth, a bunch of those guys. You're not going to see Elkins speed out of him probably, but his speed was just exceptional. You don't see many players that come through your program with his kind of speed. But those guys are capable of making big plays. Trey Torres didn't have that speed. He was fast. Trey was strong. He had it hard. He had a good mind for football.
He liked to run over.
He was not afraid to go make a catch in traffic. And back to the year before, Corey Phillips, tall, he would go over the middle. He would take the hit and make stuff happen. These guys have got to make stuff happen. They got to get themselves open. They got to make people miss. A big part of offense, the way the Prices run it with the short throws, is you count on your receiver to be a great athlete and to make some people miss when they first catch the ball. And it's not that easy. You might think it's easy to make a tackle in the open field when you're by yourself on somebody, but it's not, especially if they have elusiveness at all. And we see it at all levels of football. Wide receiver, running back over gets a little juke and they're gone. And that's what you saw at Elkins and Torres. Torres had good lateral movement. Preston Miller. The guys had good lateral movement. They could make a little move and get by somebody and be gone. You didn't see a lot of people making people miss in the game Friday night. They were catching that pass, at the 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and that's usually a 6-7 yard gain. It was a 2 yard loss.
And the one who made them miss the most was Josh Lake, who's not going to be a receiver this time.
And that's what you got to have those guys step up. They got to make people miss. Coach Price said they had a really good week of workouts so far this week. The team attitude's positive. So we talked to Austin Raines and Josh. They're very positive. They know that they didn't play as well as they should have. They didn't finish as well as they should have. And they're both leaders on the team. And they said they were going to get things corrected. They were going to make sure that they finished those plays. They were going to finish things inside the 10. And they were just going to be sharper overall. I say, that's just what it needs. It needs a little tuning up. And it's the first time for a lot of these guys being the man.
Right. I mean, Austin Raines, he's just so next level looking right now. And I think he will step up and really be the man this week.
And that's what you've got to be. You've got to be the guy. I mean, it's one thing to have the skills and to sit on the sideline and watch Trey and watch Joseph and watch Keith and Jeffers and watch the guys do it. And then when it's your turn, instead of having that potential, you got to fulfill it. You got to become the person. You got to be the guy. And I know Josh is working really hard right now in practice, and he wants to be the guy quarterback. He wants to be the guy that makes people miss, beat you with his feet, beat you with his arm, and beat you with his mind, because that's where a quarterback has to beat you.
Right, and Josh has the tools to do it.
Yeah, Josh does. Austin, like I say, he's dedicated to even as well as the defense played, stepping up and playing even better. But finishing on offense, he's the linemen, they want to finish on offense, and that's just a big thing. You got to finish. And I got to look for more of that at Campbell County. So far, the coaches really, even when the rougher years, when they were first starting and didn't have the depth. They still, they finished games. They played hard the entire game. I think that's what
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at Tuffy Shoops, who's now a broadcaster for TNQ. Tuffy never stopped. Tuffy never stopped. When he had the chance to move the ball, Tuffy was moving the ball. If he did get in a little trouble for leaving his feet a couple of times.
Yeah, they'll step up, and I say I'm completely convinced the coaches, obviously they know what they're doing. They're the winningest coaches that Campbell County's ever had by far, and every record on offense and defense, both just about have fallen under these guys. So I think that that defense is going to keep them in games, and the offense will step up and start getting things done.
Fans, that should do it for this week. Special thanks to Papa John's and Jason's video, and we'll see you next week on Sports Chat.